What's up everybody? In this video we are talking all about pre-approvals and home loans, and we're going to be tackling the 15 most frequently asked questions regarding pre-approvals and home loans. So check it out. What's up everyone? Welcome to the channel. My name is Daniel Ackerman. I am a realtor with the Queens Home Team in New York City, serving Manhattan, Queens, and Brooklyn, helping buyers, sellers, and investors in real estate with knowledge, integrity, and professionalism. Welcome to the channel. You may be seeing this on my personal channel or on my team channel at the Queens Home Team channel. Regardless of which channel you're seeing this on, make sure to subscribe. Just hit the button down below and hit the bell, and you'll be sure to get notifications of all the new content on this channel. So make sure to subscribe. So today we are talking all about pre-approvals and home loans, and tackling 15 of the most frequently asked questions about pre-approvals and home loans. So let's jump right in and check out the first question. What's the difference between a pre-qualification and a pre-approval? This is a very common question, and it's a great question to ask. The most clear way to describe this is that a pre-qualification doesn't really require the borrower or the potential borrower to submit any information for verification from the lender, and a pre-approval requires a little bit more. So for a pre-approval, a lender will typically ask you to submit copies of your bank statements, tax returns, they'll run a credit report, and they will then verify all of the information that you have provided verbally. So that's the main difference. Now, I've done a whole video all about this particular topic, so you should see a link to that on screen now. And that goes through all of the differences between a pre-approval and a pre-qualification, and when it's a good idea to get one or the other, and other topics. But that's the main difference between a pre-qualification and a pre-approval. Should I hire an agent or get a pre-approval first? This is another great question. What should you do first? Get a pre-approval and understand your budget, or hire an agent? Well, the way I like to answer this is that the minute you start thinking about purchasing a property, you should be talking to an agent and interviewing agents to find the one that you want to work with, because your agent is going to give you guidance all about the process. Any good buyer's agent will guide you through the process. It doesn't matter if it's a year or 3 years in the future. You want to talk to that agent as early as possible, because that agent will help focus your search, will help educate you about the process, and really give you a lot of guidance towards your ultimate goal. And any good buyer's agent will have no problem working with somebody who has a long-term buying plan. So I would say talk to the agent first. And the great thing about that is that agents usually have a lot of lender contacts. So if you do need a pre-approval, your agent can provide one. It's something I do all the time for my buyer clients, is provide them with referrals to lenders so they can get their pre-approval. Can I look at homes without a pre-approval? The answer to this is yes, you definitely can look at homes without a pre-approval. Sometimes you might have problems. So if you call up a listing agent, or if you're working with a buyer's agent and they call up a listing agent, that agent may ask if the buyer is pre-approved, if you are pre-approved. And if you're not, they may say, sorry, I'm not going to make an appointment to show a home to someone who isn't yet financially qualified. So you may run into that, but you can certainly go to open houses. You can certainly look at properties without a pre-approval. However, what I always ask people is, why would you want to? Without a pre-approval, spending the time and effort to go out and physically view properties is kind of a waste of time. You can gain what you need to in terms of viewing properties. If you're just kind of getting a feel for the market, you can do all of that online if you're not quite ready to get a pre-approval yet, and learn what you need to just by looking online. You don't really need to visit properties if you don't have a pre-approval yet, because you're not prepared to make an offer, and you really shouldn't be stepping foot in a property unless you're ready to make an offer on that property. So that's just my advice on that. Should I get more than one pre-approval? I always recommend to buyers to get more than one pre-approval. Every different lender has different packages and offers for different lenders, or rather for different borrowers. So it's always a good idea to speak to more than one lender and see what kind of deals you can get. And if you can get something with better terms, a lower interest rate, or what have you, then that's going to save you money in the long run. So yes, definitely speak to more than one lender. Does a pre-approval affect my credit score? The answer to this question isn't clear cut. The short answer is no. A pre-approval does not affect your credit score. However, if you get multiple pre-approvals, and I don't know exactly what the number is, you'd probably have to talk to one of my lender partners to find out the number, but you're allowed a certain amount of pre-approvals within a certain amount of time without it affecting your credit score. Once you pass that number within a certain number of time, a certain span of time, then yes, it will affect your credit score slightly because each pre-approval inquiry is a hard check on your credit. In other words, a hard credit check. Now, hard credit checks don't necessarily impact your credit score, but if you have multiple hard credit checks in a short span of time, then it will impact your credit score. The impact is not severe. It could be anywhere from a handful of credit points to maybe 50 points on your credit score. But if you're close to the sort of, there's various thresholds, various benchmark scores. So if you're at 775, which is that 750 plus range, which is the top range for lenders, if you're at 775 and you get docked 50 points, now you're at 725, it just dropped you into the lower bracket and it may bump up your interest rate a little bit. So be careful about it, but don't be overly worried about it. Getting a pre-approval, 1, 2, or 3 pre-approvals in a short span of time shouldn't have an impact whatsoever. Any more than that, you want to be careful and just check with your lender first. Am I tied to the lender that gives me the pre-approval? Absolutely not. A pre-approval is no obligation whatsoever. You are not obligated to actually go through with the loan from a lender that you get a pre-approval from. And this is why it makes sense to get pre-approval from more than one person. You're not obligated and you're shopping around for the best rate. So once you have several different pre-approvals, you're in good shape. If you make an offer on a property, then you're going to want to make a choice as to which lender you go with, but you're not obligated to go with the specific lender that gave you a pre-approval or any one of the lenders that gave you a pre-approval. Absolutely not. How long is a pre-approval good for? Pre-approvals are generally good for 60 to 90 days. It depends on the lender, it depends on the loan, but generally 60 to 90 days. What that means is that you generally want to be getting your pre-approvals lined up when you're serious about submitting offers and you think that you'll be submitting an offer within 60 to 90 days of getting the pre-approval. How does a pre-approval work? That's an excellent question. Well, as I alluded to earlier in the video, a pre-approval generally works by a lender or a mortgage officer having a conversation with you either in person or on the phone, and they're going to ask you certain questions, and then they're going to ask you to submit certain documents. So they're going to ask you about your earnings, your debts, what you want as far as a price range for a home, and a lot of other questions. They're also going to ask you to submit certain documents. So they'll ask you generally for 2 years of taxes, your recent bank statements. They'll ask for your Social Security number to run a credit check, and they may ask for certain other documents as well. Once they have those documents, they run it through their pre-approval process. Every bank has a slightly different pre-approval process, and nowadays they use algorithms. So it's all done automatically, mathematically. They pump the information into the algorithm, and the algorithm spits out a number that you're qualified for. That number will generally be purchase price and loan amount. So they'll say you are qualified for a purchase up to $800,000, let's say, and a loan amount up to $650,000, just as an example. And that's how it generally works. Some loans or some lenders will also put the information through the beginning stages of what's called the underwriting process. What is underwriting? Underwriting is how the loans actually get approved. That's not the same as pre-approval. Pre-approval is saying, okay, we've documented your income, we've documented, your debts and so forth. So you stand a very, very good chance of qualifying for this amount of money on a loan if everything stays the same. But there's other aspects involved with underwriting. So obviously there's a time difference between when you get the pre-approval and when you actually go under contract with the property. So they'll need to re-verify that all of those things have remained true. But they also have to verify the asset, which is the home itself. So the home's going to get appraised, it's going to get inspected, and the underwriters, the investors that actually finance the loan, are going to look at all of that information together, and they're going to make sure that everything meets their risk criteria for this particular loan for you to purchase. So that's, in a nutshell, the underwriting process. It's pretty complex behind the scenes, and I'm not a lender, so I'm not privy to all that information. I'm a real estate agent, and my expertise is in negotiating for real estate for purchases and sales. But a lender can certainly walk you through the details of the underwriting process, but that's the underwriting process in a nutshell. Do I have to do paperwork for a pre-approval? Absolutely. As I mentioned, you're going to be asked for documents to basically verify the information that you share verbally with your mortgage officer. So once again, that's going to be income statements, so your taxes for the last 2 years, generally speaking, bank statements to see, how your balances fluctuate over time, and of course, they're going to run a credit check to see all of your debts, liabilities, and accounts. And that's used to calculate your debt to income ratio. Okay, so and debt to income ratio, just to clarify, is how much debt you have on a monthly basis, like what your debt payments are on a monthly basis, versus how much income you bring in every month. So if you're paying out, say, if you're making X amount of dollars per month and you're paying out 20% of that, then you have a 20% DTI, or 20% debt to income ratio. But yes, you will have to do paperwork to do a pre-approval. What if I have bad credit, no credit, or have trouble documenting income? Well, luckily for you, there are options available to people who have bad credit, no credit, or have trouble documenting their income, or who are self-employed like myself. These are called non-QM loans. So it's a non-qualified mortgage. They typically will have terms that are not quite as favorable as other types of loans, because obviously it's a higher risk for the person lending the money, because they don't have the documentation to back up, the numbers. So it is a little higher risk, and therefore, generally speaking, will have higher interest or other terms that you need to be aware of as a purchaser and as a borrower. Your lender can walk you through those. Can I get money for a renovation as part of my loan? Well, yes, but only with certain loan products. So most home loans do not give you money for renovations. In fact, if a home needs renovations, you will have trouble qualifying for many of the loan types that are out there. If your home needs renovation, in other words, there's something wrong with the home, that is, it's not habitable, or it's in serious disrepair and needs renovations in order to move in, then there are loan products available that allow you to purchase a home and lump in the renovation costs. Those are called 203K loans, and you can speak to a lender about that if that's something that you're interested in. Closing costs for those tend to be quite high, so you definitely want to do it only when there's significant renovation needed in a property, because otherwise it's just not really worth it. But yes, there are loan products out there that allow it, but they're limited, so be aware of that. Does a pre-approval mean I'm guaranteed to get the loan? Absolutely not. Getting a pre-approval does not guarantee that you will receive the loan in the end. As I've mentioned, they're going to verify that all of the information that you provided is correct, and they'll probably ask for additional information. They will also verify the asset itself. And there's other factors that can come into play that may affect whether you get a loan or not. For example, as I'm shooting this, it is late April. I don't know the exact date today. I think it's April 27th, but it's late April, and we are sheltered in place indoors in New York as a result of the coronavirus pandemic of 2020. And when this started, a lot of the non-QM loans, the non-qualified mortgage loans, so those are people with bad credit, no credit, or unverified income, or income that's hard to verify, all of those loans just stopped getting approved because the investors that financed those loans all of a sudden had a lot of risk that they couldn't really account for. So they basically stopped moving forward on those. Traditional loans, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac loans, which is what we call traditional mortgage loans, have continued to go through. But these things are always subject to the borrower, the property, and certain other outside factors. So no, you're not guaranteed to get the loan just because you got pre-approved. What if my pre-approval expires? Well, this happens all the time. If your pre-approval expires, the good thing is you can get another one. It shouldn't impact your credit score if you've, stayed within a certain amount of pre-approvals within a certain span of time. But typically speaking, it shouldn't make too much of a difference, assuming that everything else has pretty much stayed the same in the meantime. I want to buy a home soon. Can you help me get a pre-approval? Absolutely, 100%, I can help you get a pre-approval. Please, if you're serious about buying a home, if you think that you're going to be ready to be making offers on homes in the next 30, 60, or 90 days, then by all means, get in touch with me. My contact information is below. You can also contact people on my team, and we will be happy to get you in touch with lenders that we have a lot of experience with and that we recommend, who can help you get the pre-approval that you need in order to be set up for making offers on a home. Super, super important that if you're serious about purchasing soon, super important that you have that pre-approval up front rather than waiting, because the last thing you want to do is start your search, think that you have a certain budget, make an offer on a home, try to get the pre-approval, and then realize that actually the bank won't qualify you for that purchase and you have to start all over again. So definitely don't want that to happen. Get the pre-approval first, and by all means, get in touch with me, and I can help you get that pre-approval by putting you in touch with a lender that I trust and respect. All right, guys, that about covers it. I hope that was helpful. We covered 15 of the most frequently asked questions regarding pre-approvals and home loans. So hopefully you found that very helpful. Thanks for watching. If you did find it helpful, please give it a thumbs up or share this with other people that you know that may be looking to buy a home or just thinking about it and may find this valuable. And once again, if you're new to the channel and haven't subscribed yet, make sure to hit the subscribe button and hit the bell, and you'll get notifications of all the new content on this channel. And thanks again for watching. Come back and visit again soon.